Hi, welcome to Nancy Jean's Garden again. We're in the middle of our candle extravaganza. We are going to be lighting 2 candles today. Got light candle number 1 and candle number 2. And we're lighting these candles to bring energy in to our circle in the garden. And we're seeking to expand the garden, to expand our prosperity, to expand abundance, and to expand peace and joy to all of us. And we're going to light a different one. I'll go all around the circle till the 9th day. We have all of them lit. Today, in the middle of the circle, I have a green calcite heart, carved heart. It's a very pretty little piece. And I thought it was very nice and timely to have a heart in the middle of the garden that's green. The best way we can make my garden grow, and our garden grow, because I want it to be something everybody feels they belong with, is to subscribe, like, and share the videos that we're doing. As I explained yesterday, we're doing this red candle ceremony. It's something I learned about years and years ago. There's parts of it that you can find in feng shui, but that's not really where it comes from. The number 9 is really important in a lot of different faiths and a lot of different belief systems. It's sort of the end number, and it's a number that people use frequently. So I was going to talk about a different topic every day, and today I'm going to talk about synchronicity, which is a word that gets bandied around quite a bit, but I think sometimes people aren't really sure what it is. What synchronicity really is, it's a theory that came from Carl Jung, and he believed that disparate different events that didn't come from the same causal effect, but could end up causing things to be clear or could lead you to a better, stronger conclusion. And so today I was talking to a woman about, I did a reading with her, and she pulled out my inner child book. She had it too, and she's always really liked the deck, and she's seen it on the show, so she decided, I'll pull a card. And so she pulled her card, and we discussed it, and it's a really fun card, and it matched well with what she wanted to talk about and where we got to. So today, this afternoon, before I got going, I pulled a card, and the card I pulled was fitting with the season and with the bright red candles was Father Christmas, Santa Claus. And it says in here, the appearance of this card suggests that you have been blessed in many ways. Explore well the abundance and kindness you draw upon at any time. Expect miracles and attainments of your wishes. Remember that the magic is in the believing. Rekindle your childlike sense of anticipation. When opportunity knocks, your hopes and prayers may be answered. Be generous, kind, and thankful. And I thought, well, that's how I feel about the garden. But then I realized there was another card stuck to that card, and it was the one the woman had pulled this morning. And it's Raphael, the guardian of wands. And when Raphael appears in your card, you're being blessed with the presence of divine healing. Recognize the blessed presence of divine healing. Recognize the sensitive power in your hands that can rekindle strength in friends and family members. Send prayers and uplifting thoughts to the minds and hearts of human beings around the world. Visualize a stream of golden light and love emanating from the sun, traveling through each and every one of us. And I thought, that's really what I want to have happen in the garden. It's the same card she pulled, and I wanted to talk about synchronicity. Now, what is the likelihood? There are 72 cards in this deck, and you can get any number of them, and she's halfway across the country from me. We both pulled the same card. So I think that's kind of an example of synchronicity, because that told me, yeah, I really should be reading about synchronicity today, because I've now had a clear example of it. Another example of synchronicity is that it's if you pay attention to small things around you and you start to get a feeling, I'm seeing this over and over and over again. Sometimes it'll be with numbers, sometimes it'll be with words. And in my case, it saved my life because I was, I used to get a lot of Facebook posts on gardening because I used to have a garden. And I like to watch the gardening community, even though at the time I was living in a high rise where I didn't have a garden. And I was reading through the articles and seeing what they're talking about. And at the end, they always have kind of a like wash your lawn furniture, different little steps you need to have so you're ready to go when the garden's ready to go in the ground. And at the end of several of them, it said, and make sure you're wearing adequate sunscreen, make sure you have adequate hats and cover yourself when you're out in the sun. And then they flat out started saying, make sure you've seen a dermatologist, make sure you know what condition your skin is in. And this went on for like a month and a half. And I looked at my daughter one day and I said, are you getting a lot of Facebook posts about skin cancer or getting your skin checked, avoiding sunburn and stuff? And she looked at me like, no, she doesn't garden, but she was like, no. So I said, well, I'm getting them all the time. And she said, it may just be a national campaign to make people aware. Who knows? So the next day, I open up my emails, totally different environment, and there is a posting for a meeting for a Saturday thing where they're giving out free skin cancer screenings. And I thought, well, not only is that interesting, but it's like I have to drive past this place to go where I was going every Saturday morning. So I thought, that's just too much. So I called up, made an appointment, and to get in there early on Saturday. And I thought, I'll just have them check me over. I'd actually participated in some studies to study skin creams and stuff. And everybody kept saying I was fine. And I just finished one of those like 9 months before. And they said, you're fine. You know, your skin's okay. And so I go into the meeting and I tell the guy, the only thing that I ever have is I have a little bit of dry scalp sometimes. And so he looks and he said, well, you know, that's blah, 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 and this is how you deal with it. And I said, fine. He said, do you have anything else? And I said, the only other thing I have that everyone's looked at is I have a little kidney-shaped bean mole on the back of my left calf. And he said, well, just go down and look at it. If it's a funny shaped mole, it's something you're supposed to watch. And it had been looked at 6 months before. He went down and looked at my calf, and he came back up and he said, do you have a dermatologist who looked at this? So I said, no, it wasn't through that kind of thing. And he said, you need one, and you need one now. And I said, really? And he said, yeah, really, 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 really. So I got out and I called a friend of mine who happens to be, at the time she was she was the manager of publications for a cancer center. And I called her and I said, I think I have a problem. And she said, well, what's going on? So I told her and she laughed. And I said, I don't think it's funny. I mean, the guy didn't look like he was joking about this. And she said, I'm not laughing about that. She said, I have my hand on the doorknob. I'm going into the first combined dermatology oncology meeting, morning breakfast meeting for everyone to get together and figure out how we can interconnect more effectively. She said, when I walk out of this room today, I'll have 2 names for you. And she called me Saturday afternoon and said, this is going to be your dermatologist, and they're aligned with this group. It's all very good. And, you know, maybe you won't need it, but it's best to be safe. So she got me in fast. I was in on Tuesday. The dermatologist looked at it and did the biopsy thing. And she said, no, you're going in, you're going to need surgery. So then I did the whole thing. And when they did the surgery, and I said, it was looked at 6 months ago, and they said, it was growing. It was very rapidly growing. And it ends up that if I had waited another month or 2 without noticing that anything was wrong with this sucker, I would have had systemic melanoma. And as it happens, they got it just before it went systemic, and been going for the last 5 years, first once every 3 months, and then every 6 months, and now I'm down to once a year. I have one more appointment, and my crazy Facebook posts and my email will have saved my life. That's synchronicity. It's paying attention to things that are coming, being said to you over and over and over again. And, you know, some of you are going to go, well, that's just a coincidence and blah, blah. Well, coincidence is another word for synchronicity, but it enriches your life, not just saves it, but it enriches your life. And it sometimes makes things easier. If you let the universe know you're open to synchronicities, they will give them to you more so you can have a more judged and valued life. My other synchronicity story is much quicker. I was president of an HOA, and we had the management company came and said, we're going to put a new manager, you know, in your units and over your place. And we're like, why? And who is this guy? And so they told us who he was. We were perfectly happy with the manager we had. So I said, well, I'm not sure. And I said, why isn't he here for us to meet him before you make this grand switch? Oh, no. They never could give us a reason why the guy wasn't there. So the next day, that night I went home, told my husband, great. Don't want this change. I'm not big on change anyway. And so the next day at noon, we're watching the new news, and it's during Christmas time, just about this time of year, where they start running those stories about people running their last minute packages to the post office or their last minute thing on Christmas cards. And they were interviewing this guy that was out mailing his postcards at Central Post Office in hopes that they would get there before Christmas. And he said, I'm just not really good at planning these sorts of things out. It was the guy they wanted us to hire. He had a unique name, so I knew it was him. And I just looked at my husband. My husband looked at me. He said, time to call the other board members. So I called him, and then I told him what I saw. And also another board member had seen the same story. And we went to the management company and said, thanks, but no thanks. You know, you bring in people, we'll interview them if you think you need to move the other person on, but not like this. So that could have, trust me, if you've never worked at the Homeowners Association, having a bad manager is just deadly and makes your life a whole lot worse. So I've had a lot of other synchronicities. I will not bore you with them right now. I hope these weren't boring, but it's to let you know that the more we pay attention to the little things that come up in our life, the better our lives can be. And that's what I want to happen here. I want to help people learn how to turn on their spidey sense so that they learn how to use these things and don't just slough them off and say, oh, no, it's not this. And trust me, we're going into a sea change in the energy on this planet. That means you really need to pay attention. And I hope I can help work with you on that. So that's another thing we can put on our intentions list for our 9 candles, is that we all become more attentive so that we can use the power and the energy around us to make our lives easier. Anyway, that pretty much wraps up today. I will be lighting the 3rd candle tomorrow, and I will be talking about a real crystal-y thing. I'll be talking about shungite, which is it's a black stone that looks like coal, but it actually absorbs electrical energy, and it's a good way to protect yourself if you have a lot of computers and cell phones and all that good stuff. Anyway, we'll save that for tomorrow. I look forward to seeing you then. Have a good day.